I've always had a fascination with trilogies. They make so much sense for a series of movies with a clear start, middle, and end, with plenty of potential and room to play around in with possibilities of storytelling and being able to take us on journeys that will forever stick with us and shape us in how we live our lives and how we grow up as people. There are so many good trilogies out there to choose from, with some of my favourites being the How to Train Your Dragon, Planet of the Apes, The Creed, Kung Fu Panda, and the Cornetto trilogy, just to name a few. Each using the medium of trilogies to show stories through life or certain events, with each having their own messages and themes that will stick with us for our lives. As with the trilogy format, it feels more special and more like an event to remember. That's why I love trilogies. So with that being said, I wish to bring your attention to a newly completed trilogy that, although are released far different times, I still think managed to be compelling. And that trilogy, or more specifically the new movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie is one of the most important MCU movies to come out in a long time, as well as being a good movie from MCU in a while. Comparing it to Quantumania is almost night and day with its tragic story, lovable characters, and more mature approach. But please, allow me to elaborate. I went into this with high expectations, as James Gunn, who made it, is now in command of the new DC universe and currently working on Superman Legacy. So this movie had a lot to do to not only end the story of the Guardians in a satisfying way, but also leave us in confidence that the future of DC will be bright. And after having watched it, I got all I wanted plus more. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 felt like it had a story to tell and a purpose for these characters we've come to know and love. One thing I have to say, off the bat by the way, is that this is the most different out of all the other Guardians movies in the trilogy, and it's all the better for it, honestly. Where I love the movies they were before, more light-hearted and upbeat, in this one, it's on the line of depressing at times. But unlike something made from Zack Snyder, where the heavy theming is shoved down your throat, here it's more gradually given to you in a way that both feels effective and natural. Because, you know, it does take place like after the blip from the Avengers movie, so that is quite a depressing time if you really think about it, so it makes sense. And this movie just felt like it had it was made by people who love the characters and the audience. These people wanted to give us something to care about. One thing I have to say, like, when this movie gets dark, it stays with you. Especially the Rocket side story. Like, with Rocket and his animal friends, your heart sinks when you see them all die one by one, with it being sudden and merciless. With the image of their bodies stiff on the floor with their eyes wide open and Rocket screams and tears. It's something that was burned into my mind, despite us knowing these characters were going to die at some point, because, you know, they don't appear in any other movie. You wish it didn't, because they managed to make you like them in a short amount of time, making their deaths after feel like we've been watching, like, feel more meaningful, and we've only been watching them for a small amount of time. And, you know, we just watched them, and the only time we did watch them was them wanting to be free, so it just makes it even more tragic. It's very akin to Genndy Tartakovsky's style in Primal, with how he's able to make you quickly fall in love with the character, only for them to be taken away in the most cruel way possible. It was so effective. I actually got emotional because of it. It was that well done. And that's just one plot of the movie, with there being several fantastic moments in the movie, with all of it being linked back to the characters and their emotions. This movie was not afraid to get dark and weird with itself. It's strange locations, dark themes, and approaches but the story's intelligence and mature writing ensured that it never felt out of place. Like in something from Love and Thunder, where that whole movie just felt just wrong. It just felt wrong.
I'm really about to get your pickle chin that boy. Egg on that concrete head that boy. Oh, hit up your dirt that boy, stink that boy.
There's so much I want to gush about here because it was just that good. All the way from how it was shot, written, acted, and played just makes me adore this movie even more. For me, this is my new favourite Guardians movie because every character gets a chance to shine, and it was clearly made by people who love the franchise and the audience. So you just feel this passion and respect towards it come off the screen, and it's just so nice to see and refreshing from everything we got in Phase 4, and especially Ant-Man Quantumania. Ugh. But the last thing I want to mention is the ending. My god, the ending. This is what made all the pain and drama worth it, as instead of falling into the typical trap most movies fall into, this movie actually takes a huge risk, and that was killing the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Metaphor. Sorta.
Not actually killing them, but breaking them apart. Their group. Splitting up. For what seems to be forever. Quill is off back to Earth to make amends with his grandpa. Mantis leaves to go do something for herself for once. Gamora stays with the Ravagers, and she has no more feelings for Quill. And that was handled really well. Nebula and Drax stay on Nowhere to help rebuild. And the only ones who are left in the Guardians is Rocket and Groot, with Rocket being promoted to the new captain, with his new team going off ready to save the galaxy from whatever is out there. Man, that ending broke me. Because I didn't want to see it happen, but it made sense in a way. It was the most beautiful moment in the movie because we see these characters not as one-liner spewing heroes who are perfect in every way, but as people. People who are vulnerable, people who talk about what they want to do and how they're going to improve themselves. And then we just see them go out and do it. It's an incredibly human feeling, and it really plays on your heartstrings. And although it's sad seeing the characters we love break apart, the film ends on a positive note, as we know that this is what they choose to do, and they will be better people from it. So despite the sadness, we are left with hope for the future, as these characters are finally, after all they've been through, are finally happy. And that commitment to giving each of these characters satisfying send-offs is, to me, what makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 beautiful. It's been the Pink King, and I will see you all later.